Wow, and here we are in the best viewpoint in Gdansk, on top of St. Mary's Basilica. This city is absolutely stunning. So come and take a look with me, but first here's a little sneak preview. Let's go. Alright, so here we go. This is where the adventure begins, Newcastle Airport. £8 to fly to Gdansk, and that is certainly not bad price, is it? But anyway, next stop Poland. Let's go. Alright, so hello and welcome to Gdansk. It's day one. Behind me here is the old town, and we had a little look through it last night and it looks absolutely stunning. So I can't wait to show you. But for now, today we're headed to Malbork Castle, which, believe it or not, is the world's largest castle. So I'm pretty excited to see that as well. But hopefully we'll be back here before sunset and be able to show you a bit of the city. If not, I'll show you it all tomorrow. So yeah, can't wait to see the castle. Let's go. So, I'm only going to give you a quick preview of Malbork Castle, since this video is about Gdansk. But anyway, it's only about 45 minutes on the train and costs like £6 there and back, and about £10 entry into the castle. So don't do the tours from Gdansk, because they'll charge you about 70 quid. Anyway, we finally made it. Welcome to the world's largest castle by land area, boasting an incredible 52 acres, thought to be made of around 30 million bricks made from local river sediment. And within the castle there are endless passageways, a beautiful drawbridge, scenic towers and stunning gardens. If you'd like to see more, I'll be uploading a separate video next week of the castle, so make sure you click subscribe for that. And now for the real reason you came, Gdansk. I can honestly say that when I first walked into the old town, I was so surprised. Blown away by the colourful, tall and slender buildings, the beautiful riverside and orange roofs everywhere, the charming decor, the Gothic basilica which towers above the city, and of course the history which explains why I've fallen in love with Gdansk. Alright, so it's day 2 and now I can finally show you the city of Gdansk. So I think the main attraction is right behind me here, which is the old town. So let's go and take a look through, and hopefully I can give you an insight into the history of the city too. So here we are at the front of the old town. This big beautiful gate here just behind me was built in the 15th century and would have been the main entrance into the old town back in medieval times. And back in its time as well, there was a 50 feet moat all the way around the city and equally large walls either side of it enclosing the old town. Carrying on, standing on its own, is a prison which was originally built back in the 15th century. And the bigger tower is where all the naughty boys were kept, and the smaller tower you can see was a courtroom and torture room. You can also go and chain yourself up if that's what you're into. Anyway, let's move on. And here we're met by the second gate, the Golden Gate, which takes us up to the most iconic and beautiful street in Gdansk. So here we go, we've just came through to the main street in the old town, and it really is beautiful. You've got these Dutch style houses, you've got all the colour, you've got lovely patterns on the buildings, all the restaurants, and then you've got the city hall in the background there, towering over. When I got my first glance of the main street, I couldn't quite believe it. I never expected this at all, swallowed up in such tall, bright and unique buildings. And just as we're walking through as well, I think it's worth mentioning that pretty much everything you see now during the Second World War near the end in 1944 would have been pretty much all ruins, was all destroyed. So the whole city's pretty much been rebuilt since then, as it would have been in the past before the war. So you can probably imagine that almost everything you can see here would have been flattened from the horrible destruction of war. Although, fortunately, Gdansk's history isn't all doom and gloom. So with Gdansk being situated on the Baltic coast as well, it actually grew quite affluent from the export of grain during the 14th and 17th century. And as well in return, you see a lot of these buildings look quite Dutch. And the reason why is there's a lot of Dutch architects came over, and which is why you see a lot of these tall, thin, colourful buildings. They were all wonderfully unique, each boasting a different roof, and for some, fancy doors. From here, we've reached the end of the main street, met by the Green Gate, which I can assure you is not green. Anyway, it brings us out to the beautiful riverside. So we've just came out onto the other end of the old town, and here we've got the riverside. It really is a lovely spot. I was quite surprised at how nice it is, but you've got loads of nice restaurants here, really nice apartments up there. We nearly stayed in one of these actually, and what a view it would have been. So you've got one of the main attractions just here as well, which is like an old crane. I'll have to go and take a closer look and tell you a bit more about that. So if you Google Gdansk, this is probably the most iconic sight you'll see on the riverside. And again, you've got the old crane, which was built in the 14th century. And like I was saying before, with Gdansk being a really important trading centre on the Baltic coast, this crane was used to transfer cargo onto the ships and also fix the masts onto the ships. And at one point in time, it was the biggest crane in the world, which is pretty hard to believe, but that's what Google says. So we've just had a quick rest, time to hopefully get some views from the top of the city. This viewpoint better be bloody worth it. 250 steps later. So we made it. I had to run back to get change, hence why I'm sweaty. It's 7 Polish zloty. If you're under 26, make sure you've got student ID, and you also need change. Don't accept card. The grumpy woman won't let you in. But anyway, we're just coming up some dodgy stairs, and we will be at the top in a second. It turns out there was actually 400 steps. Alright, we're just on the final steps now, up to the top. Let's go and have a look. See the whole city. Towards the coast that way. Westerplatte, that's where we're going tomorrow. Another video coming on that soon. Definitely not bad for £1.50 though. And after those amazing views, it's time to head back down the spiralling staircase to the Basilica. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything quite like it. All the walls were perfectly white, stretching all the way up the pillars to the converging ceiling. It's nice that entry to the Basilica is free, but I'd definitely recommend paying around £2 for the best views in the city at the top. After a very long day, it's time to get the camera away. Tomorrow, we'll be visiting the World War II Museum and Westerplatte, where World War II, the deadliest war in history, all started. Alright, so hello and welcome. It's the start of day 3. I think morning times might be the best to explore by the looks of it. It's about 7:45, and this fountain last night was absolutely heaving. This is the main street in the old town, so maybe worth coming to explore nice and early. But anyway, so the plan today is we're going to go to the World War III Museum soon, which will be pretty nice, and then we're going to go to Westerplatte. I'm hoping to make another video there, and I'll show you a few sneak peeks. On my way to the museum, I came across a post office, and this isn't just any ordinary post office. Back on September the 1st, 1939, when the Germans invaded Polish shores, they also set siege on this Polish post office along with local police force. The war had begun, and so had the brutality which characterised so much of it, as the surrendering Polish soldiers were executed, with the Germans possibly committing the first war crimes of World War II. Anyway, time to check out the museum, which is just in this funny little shaped building here. Oh, and by the way, it only costs £3.30 for students to get in, which is pretty good. We're just getting to the World War II Museum here, so I'm pretty excited to check this out and see what's here. Plenty of history here. Inside, there was so much to see. Some very interesting artefacts, plenty of guns, some tanks, and also some evidence of the horrors which occurred not only during, but even before the war had even started. After the museum, we got the bus along to Westerplatte, which only takes around 20 minutes. Again, this is the exact place where World War II all began. It was this attack which led to the British and French declaring war. And well, you know the rest. Some scars still remain. Here you can see the old barracks, likely to be damaged from the incoming bombardment from the German battleship. So if you are going to visit Gdansk, I would definitely save some time to go and visit Westerplatte, where you can see the remains of where it all began. On a more positive note, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Gdansk.
and would definitely recommend you visit too. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to click subscribe for my videos coming out soon at Malbork Castle and Vesterplatte. I also made a very similar style video in Riga, Latvia, which I think you'll love. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, travel safe and take care.